Science Standard 6, Chapter 2, Components of Food. In Chapter 1, we made lists of food items that we eat. We also identified food items eaten in different parts of India and marked these on its map. A meal could consist of chapati, dal, and brinjal curry. Another may be rice, sambar, and a vegetable preparation of lady's finger, bindi. Yet another meal could be appam, fish curry, and vegetables. Activity 1. Our meals usually have at least one item made of some kind of grain. Other items could be a dal or a dish of meat and vegetables. It may also include items like curd, buttermilk, and pickles. Some examples of meals from different regions are given in Table 2.1. Select food items you depicted on the map in Chapter 1. Add some more meals to this list and enter these in Table 2.1. So from Punjab, the item of grain is makki, corn roti. Item of dal or meat is rajma, kidney beans. Vegetables is sarson saag. Sarson is mustard, so mustard leaf curry. Others, curd and ghee. In Andhra Pradesh, the item of grain is rice. The item of dal or meat is tuar dal and rasam. Charu, that's called charu. Vegetables, kunduru, dondakai. Others, buttermilk, ghee, pickle. Pickle is avakai. Sometimes we may not really have all this variety in our meals. If we are traveling, we may eat whatever is available on the way. It may not be possible for some of us to eat such a variety of items most of the time. There must be some reason, though, why meals usually consist of such a distribution. Do you think that our body needs different kinds of food for some special purpose? What do different food items contain? We know that each dish is usually made up of one or more ingredients which we get from plants or animals. These ingredients contain some components that are needed by our body. These components are called nutrients, Nutrients, nutrients. The major nutrients in our food are namely carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. In addition, food contains dietary fibers and water, which are also needed by our body. Do all foods contain all these nutrients? With some simple methods, we can test whether cooked food or a raw ingredient ing, red, ient, ing, red, ient contains one or more of these nutrients. The tests for presence of carbohydrates, proteins and fats are simpler to do as compared to the tests for other nutrients. Let us do these tests and record all our observations in table 2.2. For carrying out these tests, you will need solutions of iodine, copper sulfate and caustic soda. You will also need a few test tubes and a dropper. Try these tests on cooked food items as well as raw materials. Table 2.2 shows you a way to record the observations from these tests. Some food items are given in this table. You can conduct the tests either with these or any other available food items. Do these tests carefully and do not try to eat or taste any chemicals. Do these tests carefully and do not try to eat or taste any chemicals. If the required solutions are not available in ready-made form, your teacher can prepare them as follows. Let us begin by testing different food items to see if they contain carbohydrates. 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 There are many types of carbohydrates. The main carbohydrates found in our food are in the form of starch and sugars. We can easily test if a food item contains starch. So how can your teacher prepare these solutions? A dilute solution of iodine can be prepared by adding a few drops of tincture iodine to a test tube half filled with water. Tincture iodine, Tincture, tincture iodine to a test tube half filled with water. Copper sulfate solution can be prepared by dissolving 2 grams of copper sulfate in 100 milliliter of water. Copper sulfate solution can be prepared by dissolving 2 grams of copper sulfate in 100 milliliters of water. 100 ml of water. 100 grams of caustic soda dissolved in 100 milliliter of water makes the required solution of caustic soda. 10 gram of caustic soda dissolved in 100 ml of water makes the required solution of caustic soda. So to make copper sulfate and caustic soda solutions, what you have to do is take 100 ml of water. 100 ml of water. 2 grams of copper sulfate in 100 ml of water makes the copper sulfate solution. To make caustic soda, you need 10 grams of caustic soda in 100 ml of water. So take 200 ml of water. In one, put only 2 grams of copper sulfate to get copper sulfate solution. In the other, put 10 grams of caustic soda to get caustic soda solution. Now for iodine, in a test tube half filled with water, just add a few drops of tincture iodine. Let us begin by testing different food items to see if they contain carbohydrates. There are many types of carbohydrates. The main carbohydrates found in our food are in the form of S and S, starch and sugars. Starch and sugars. Starch and sugars. We can easily test if a food item contains starch. Activity 2. Test for starch. Take a small quantity of a food item or a raw ingredient. Put 2 to 3 drops of dilute iodine solution on it. Observe if there is any change in the color of the food item. Did it turn blue-black? A blue-black color indicates that it contains starch. Repeat this test with other food items to find out which of these contains starch. Enter all your observations in Table 2.2. Table 2.2. Nutrients present in some food items. The food items are raw potato, milk, groundnut, uncooked powdered rice, cooked rice, dry coconut, uncooked tur dal, cooked dal, a slice of any vegetable, a slice of any fruit, boiled egg, white portion. We are going to test for starch, protein and fat. We are going to test for the presence of starch, protein and fat. Test for protein. Take a small quantity of a food item for testing. If the food you want to test is a solid, you first need to make a paste of it or powder it. If the food you want to test is a solid, you first need to make a paste of it or powder it. Grind or mash a small quantity of the food item. Put some of this in a clean test tube. Add 10 drops of water to it and shake the test tube. Now using a dropper, add 2 drops of solution of copper sulfate and 10 drops of solution of caustic soda to the test tube. Now using a dropper, add 2 drops of solution of copper sulfate and 10 drops of solution of caustic soda to the test tube. Remember, to make the copper sulfate solution, we had to put only 2 grams of copper sulfate in 100 ml of water, and to make the caustic soda solution we had to put 10 grams of caustic soda in 100 ml of water. Now using a dropper, we add 2 drops of copper sulfate solution and 10 drops of caustic soda solution. Shake well and let the test tube stand for a few minutes. What do you see? Did the contents of the test tube turn violet? A violet color indicates the presence of proteins in the food item. Now you can repeat this test on other food items. So the test for protein requires us to first grind or mash a small quantity of the food item, put 10 drops of water to it and shake the tube. Then, using a dropper, 2 drops of copper sulfate solution and 10 drops of caustic soda solution, and wait. And look at the color and wait for the color violet. If the violet color appears, there are proteins in the food item. Test for fats. Take a small quantity of a food item, wrap it in a piece of paper and crush it. Take care that the paper does not tear. Now straighten the paper and observe it carefully. Does it have an oily patch? Hold the paper against light. Are you able to see the light faintly through this patch? An oily patch on paper shows that the food item contains fat. The food items may sometimes contain a little water. Therefore, after you have rubbed an item on paper, let the paper dry for a while. Let the paper dry for a while. If there were any water that may have come from food, it would dry up after some time. If no oily patch shows up after this, the food item does not contain any fat. What do these tests show? Are fats, proteins and starch present in all the food items that you tested? Does a food item contain more than one nutrient? Do you find any food item that does not contain any of these nutrients? We tested food items for 3 nutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. There are also other nutrients like vitamins and minerals that are present in different food items. Why do we need all these nutrients? Why do we need all these nutrients? Why do we need all these nutrients? 2.2. What do various nutrients do for our body? Carbohydrates mainly provide energy to our body. Fats also give us energy. In fact, fats give much more energy as compared to the same amount of carbohydrates. Foods containing fats and carbohydrates are also called energy-giving foods. Figure 2.3 and Figure 2.4. Figure 2.3, some sources of carbohydrates: bajra, rice, wheat, sweet potato, potato, sugarcane, papaya, melon, mango, maize, makki. Maize is makka. Figure 2.4, some sources of fats. A. Plant sources: groundnuts, nuts, till, that is sesame, sunflower oil, mustard oil, coconut oil, soya bean oil. Some sources of fats. B. Animal sources: meat, ghee, milk, butter, cream, fish, eggs. So there are 2 sources of fat: plant sources and animal sources. Proteins, proteins, are needed for the growth and repair of our body. Foods containing proteins are often called body-building foods. Figure 2.5. Some sources of protein. A. Plant sources: peas, gram, moong, dal, beans, soya beans. These are plant sources of proteins. Some sources of proteins, animal sources: paneer, fish, meat, milk, eggs. Animal sources of proteins. Proteins are needed for the growth and repair of our body. Foods containing proteins are often called body-building foods. Vitamins help in protecting our body against diseases. Vitamins also help in keeping our eyes, bones, teeth, and gums healthy. Eyes, 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 bones, 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 teeth, 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 and gums, 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 healthy. Vitamins are of different kinds known by different names. Some of these are vitamin A, C, D, E, and K. A, C, D, E, K. A, C, D, E, K. There is also a group of vitamins called vitamin B complex. Our body needs all types of vitamins in small quantities. Vitamin A keeps our skin and eyes healthy. Vitamin A keeps our skin and eyes healthy. Vitamin C helps body to fight against many diseases. Vitamin C helps body to fight against many diseases. Vitamin D helps our body to use calcium for bones and teeth. Vitamin D helps our body to use calcium for bones and teeth. Foods that are rich in different vitamins are shown in figure 2.6 to figure 2.9. Figure 2.6, some sources of vitamin A: milk, fish oil, carrots, papaya, pumpkin. Figure 2.7, some sources of vitamin B: liver, flax seeds. Figure 2.8, some sources of vitamin C: oranges, tomatoes, guava, lemon, and amla. Amla is the most power-packed source of vitamin C. Sources of vitamin D, figure 2.9, milk, butter, eggs, fish, meat. Milk, butter, eggs, fish, meat. So what God has done is, milk gives us calcium. Our body cannot absorb the calcium without vitamin D. So milk also contains vitamin D along with calcium. Eggs contain vitamin D, butter contains vitamin D, fish and meat contains vitamin D. Our body also prepares vitamin D in the presence of sunlight. Minerals are needed by our body in small amounts. Each one is essential for proper growth of body and to maintain good health. Some sources of different minerals are shown in figure 2.10. Some sources of iodine, fish, radish. Some sources of phosphorus, banana, French beans, milk, rice. Some sources of iron, spinach, apple, pear, meat. Some sources of calcium, eggs and milk. Most food items usually have more than one nutrient. You may have noticed this while recording your observations in table 2.2. However, in a given raw material, one particular nutrient may be present in much larger quantity than in others. For example, rice has more carbohydrates than other nutrients. Thus, we can say that rice is a carbohydrate-rich source of food. Besides these nutrients, our body needs dietary fibers and water. DIETARY fibers, FIBRES. Our body needs dietary fibers and water. Dietary fibers are also known as roughage. Dietary fibers are also known as roughage, ROUGH, ROUGH, ROUGHAGE. Roughage is mainly provided by plant products in our foods. Whole grains and pulses, potatoes, fresh fruits and vegetables are main sources of roughage. Roughage does not provide any nutrient to our body. Roughage does not provide any nutrient to our body, but it is an essential component of our food and adds to its bulk. This helps our body get rid of undigested food. Water helps our body to absorb nutrients from food. It also helps in throwing out some wastes from body as urine and sweat. Normally, we get most of the water that our body needs from the liquids we drink, such as water, milk, and tea. In addition, we add water to most cooked foods. Let's see if there is any other source which provides water to our body. Activity 3. Take a tomato or a fruit like lemon, a citrus fruit. Cut it into small pieces. Do your hands get wet while doing so? Carefully observe whenever vegetables and fruits are being cut, peeled, grated, or mashed at your home. Do you find any fresh vegetables or fruits that do not contain some amount of water? We see that many food materials themselves contain water. To some extent, our body needs are met by this water. Apart from this, we also add water while cooking many food items. Thank you, Lord, for the food we eat. Thank you, Lord, for the water we drink.